The history of Dr. Fate has now been revealed. We now know that Naboo is Vandal Savage's son, although we actually got a hint of that in Season 3, Episode 7. This was noted by a comment that we had in our last video by a couple people. Adze, he mentioned that Naboo dies fighting Starro. In last season, the flashback was Naboo wearing the Helmet of Fate when he died. So Adze guessed that the Lords of Order gave him the helmet, but obviously that was just a guess, and now we have, the actual thing that happened, which was essentially him being scouted by the Lords of Order, and then after he died fighting Starro, he showed a lot of like traits that the Lords of Order liked, and that's why they imbued the helmet with like essentially Naboo's spirit or soul, and then made him an agent of the Lord of Orders.
So technically it's not his son, but is his son, or is his offspring, if you will, technically, like off, not, and kind of.
Yeah,
is.
I mean Naboo is Vandal Savage's son.
Yeah,
and essentially whoever puts on the Helmet of Fate is connected to Naboo, like his spirit, his soul. That is Naboo essentially. So yeah, it is kind of his son. So
yeah, I guess what I was technically saying is like, because obviously the Lord of Orders, those are like the thing that's kind of in him. So it's almost like they're kind of controlling, like they're using him as a vessel. So it's weird because it's like the Fate itself is a vessel, but it's kind of a vessel within a vessel, if you think about it.
Yeah, the way I see it is more like Naboo is just his soul follows the helmet, and whoever puts it on essentially just gets possessed by him, or at least like depending on like how Naboo wants to do it. They can either be partners, or they can just, or Naboo just kind of like takes over, basically what we saw with Zatanna at some point, and also basically what we saw with all the older Young Justice characters.
For sure. Yeah, overall I definitely thought it was at least this part was it was interesting to see the order side, because we were always wondering, like in the past 2 episodes, like, okay, we understand they established chaos, they established order, so how is this gonna play with order? Like, is order just, and that was a question we were wondering, is like, were there a bunch of order people like Clarion, we'll be seeing with Clarion, and then the other Witch Lord, like, are they different orders, or that they have their own little system? And we can see that their own system's a little bit more like they want to actually understand humans, they want to kind of connect with them, and then they use them as a vehicle to establish what they need to establish. So it's
although they did say that it's like potentially they just didn't want to like be a part of it, like it's not necessarily that they wanted to, that's what they made it out to be, like a theory, like, okay, potentially they want to inherit or inhabit like humans because it helps them see better through their perspective, but at the same time it could just be that they don't want to like get their own hands dirty going into the world. I believe that's what the part of the narration was. Which makes sense, because again they're all about not creating chaos, so they're always thinking about how do we prevent chaos or stop chaos, so it fits in line with their whole, I guess, philosophy. But overall that part was very interesting along. I think Zatanna's dad, Zatara, gave more context about the relationship between the helmet and the host a lot more than the history lesson did, at least for me. He did kind of brought it up. It also gave more backstory in terms of how long Fate has been with the Justice League, before it was even called the Justice League, which is funny. Yeah, so it's very interesting to get to like learn about the history and whatnot, and it's I find it cool, but at the same time, like I want more Dr. Fate action if they're gonna like highlight his history, and I feel like he hasn't really quite done much yet with the story. So, or I mean like present time story, you know what I mean? They're just trying to convince him to like help, and then Clarion just kind of
see that was something, I don't know if I want to get into it right now, but that was something that kind of felt like, because even Dr. Fate said himself he wants them to fight it out and then he was going to help, so he kind of got what he wanted, if you think about it, because Clarion just got basically, maybe he didn't want to get, maybe there's a different kind of word than destroy, but basically Clarion's like gone.
He's not destroyed. He's just like, because his familiar is gone, he no longer has a tie to the plane. So I guess like he can somehow create a new familiar. I'm sure like he could potentially do that, but I don't know how the rules work and how long he has to wait. But yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he actually meant Clarion to be completely gone. So maybe this is a different thing. But to me, it just came off as like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for them to, duke it out. They duke it out, and now, I mean, he basically got what he wanted. So
I was kind of hoping like he would step in, because like it felt like there was enough time to actually step in.
Yeah.
But I guess he just didn't. He just wanted to see how it would play out, and it did not go well. And I kind of feel like it was too abrupt. I feel like there's gonna be something he does to somehow bring Clarion back.
Yeah, for sure.
I also feel like Clarion, like his thing was too abrupt as well.
Yeah, I did think that. Not to mention, it's like I feel bad because like from the whole series, they kind of overhyped the cat. And now the cat gets defeated like in 2 seconds, which I'm like, on one hand, it shows the power level. I hate saying power level, but we're just going to say for the sake of this video, it shows the power level of the other Chaos Lord. But on the other hand, I'm kind of disappointed because it's like, for the longest time, they're all like, man, you better watch out for that cat. And then, I mean, granted, they did attack the cat. So it's like, it's not to say the cat was too overly powered, but they made it seem like it was a big deal. And then for it to get defeated like that, it just came like, okay. So yeah. I guess the other thing that came in this episode was we finally get to understand Satana's students, because we've been, questioning like, who are these people? I mean, what's their role in this whole story? And now we can kind of see their little backstories and get a idea of like where they're coming from, right? And overall, in terms of informative information, I thought it was nice. Although this kind of comes up with another issue that Young Justice kind of struggles, where it's like you have too many characters. So even when they give us details about these characters, I didn't really care too much. The only character I felt like I had sort of a connection with would be, if I'm correct, is Tracy. Is that the one that Blue Beetle used to date? Or Tracy? Okay, good. Just making sure. That one, and that's only because I remember she was in season 3. So it's like that's a little bit of the emotional connection I had. But and I did, to some degree, I do like their how to deal with like self-doubt and, kind of like insecurities. I kind of like that route. That being said, it goes back to a problem we kind of been having with the season, where they're a little bit on the nose with this whole like insecurities and depression and all this kind of stuff. And especially with Tracy's moment where she's like, well, you know what? I might go through all insecurities, or I might feel fearful, but I still take action. And it just comes off to me a little bit, again, going back on the nose, and just a little bit cringy at moments. And it's just kind of like,
because
takes me out.
The issue isn't that they're talking about it or bringing it up. The issue is that it doesn't feel earned for the characters at this moment, because they haven't gone through anything. They haven't okay, maybe the characters have gone through things, but we haven't seen them go through it. Like we haven't been on the journey with the character. They sort of just got to this point where they already get their like what's the right word for it? That realization, that strength to push forward. Where the character progresses and grows, but because we weren't with them while they were on the struggle, it doesn't feel earned, and that's another issue I wanted to bring up as well. I mean, that's the same issue you're talking about. I wanted to bring it up as well, and it kind of sucks because like I like their backstories, I like these characters, but I wish they gave us more of them before they did this moment. Yeah,
exactly. I 100% agree. Had we go through a lot of their, experience their trauma and issues, it definitely would have felt more earned to me. But I don't know. I think that partially why this is a little bit off is because like this goes back to how the show was before, right? Because like again, Young Justice, it's not like, and if I remember correctly, especially reading interviews about Young Justice, again, Young Justice is a teenage show, to be frank, or at least it deals with teenage problems, right? So it's not like they can't deal with these kinds of topics. And I'm guessing now, as I look back and even seeing with scenes with Beast Boy, they're definitely trying. I feel like the creators are trying to relate to teenagers now, because you hear teenagers are dealing with depression. You hear like they have these anxieties, they have these identity issues, all that stuff. But I feel like back in the day, or at least like, for example, let's take the Superboy of the Shields, right? You can say that's like a metaphor for drugs or steroids, right? right? But it didn't felt like they didn't overtly said, oh, this is my steroid, this is my drug. It was sort of like, that's the metaphor. And then we see him getting over it. It was more subtle. This is just, to me, for it to be too much on the nose. And again, we don't get much backstory on it. It just comes off like a preachy, sitcom lesson where the character.
Same thing for like Magan too, right? Like hiding who you really are and stuff like that, and being afraid that your friends won't like you because of it. So there's just a lot of things you can unpack from the earlier seasons that weren't so like preachy and on the nose about it. But again, I will say I liked their backstories and I like getting more of it. I just kind of wish that they spent more time with them, but I guess this season is just like they gotta like push forward because they're doing different arcs for different characters.
That's I definitely agree. Like it just feels like everything was just kind of laid out to us, like, oh yeah, this is what happened with the whole Mercury thing with Marie, which again that would have been cool to see a whole Billy Batson thing and how did she got the power and
with
whatnot.
Mary,
but
because that was very interesting. Like I would love to see more of that for sure. Like I feel like, I don't know, they had episodes, I know we keep going back to like the earlier seasons, but we love the earlier seasons. They had episodes where literally they would only focus on one sort of family or one sort of like character. Like there was an episode where they just did Impulse and like the other Flash characters, and I love that episode. Like they could have just, I don't know, they could have done episodes where it was mainly like Mary with Billy Batson or something and her history. That would have been an amazing episode probably, and then like just give each character some sort of, like, it doesn't even have to be a full episode. It could just be like partial episodes where they give one character a bit more focus for us to gain more attachment to them. Otherwise, you sort of have to already be a fan of the character to feel that connection. Yeah, man.
I also feel like, again, and I know they're probably going to play it off after this arc is over, but I would have been more, if they did like, because let's put it this way, right? We had 3 episodes so far. I think what they could have done, and I know maybe this could have been confusing, is like they also could have done a little flashback of one of the characters, each character's story, right? And I would have liked screen time with that compared to the whole Beast Boy thing, which, is still, for whatever reason, not to hate on Beast Boy, but we still see Beast Boy, kind of downing. And again, the more I look at it, I feel like it's like the creators are trying to relate to the audience, because again, like that's something that like teens suffer through, or they use sleeping pills, but sleeping pills aren't working. So at some point they might have too much sleeping pills and then it's too late. So you have to make sure you save your friend before it's too late. I get it. It's just that, again, this is one of those things where it's like you could have choose to show this, but you decided to go here.
We actually had a comment from, I think it was Sunny with Juice. The Beast Boy thing feels like he may be going the suicide route with the sleeping pills, and I thought that was a very interesting comment. I can definitely see it. Like,
I can see it now in this episode for sure.
Like he's going down a really, really dark path, but I don't think the show will go there. Like it definitely won't. Not for Beast Boy, at least. Like I can't imagine that for Beast Boy, and I don't know, man. Like I mentioned it last episode, like last discussion we had, and I guess I'll mention it again. I don't want to like beat on a dead horse, but geez, like I feel like these Beast Boy scenes are kind of going nowhere right now. They're just the same thing over and over again. I mean, I guess if they keep doing it, it sort of increases the pressure, or increases the like impact of Beast Boy being depressed and whatnot. But at the same time, it's like it doesn't really, again, what you said, like the screen time could be used a bit more wisely with the characters that are actually doing stuff right now.
100%. And then another moment that I felt was a little bit kind of preachy, but it in this context, it's sort of more, I don't want to say reasonable, but I guess for the sake of words, it's a little bit more reasonable, was when Satana's father tells Dr. Fate about his religion, which I'm not against that, but it was weird that he had to do a prayer, because it was just like, at this point I felt like, okay, are we just trying to like expose, like we're trying to show representation of, okay, we got a Muslim, we got a Christian or a Catholic, we got all that. It just seemed a little bit like it was not necessary for him to do that prayer, and it felt like the kind of I don't want to say a waste of screen time, but it just seemed like, why is he doing that? It just comes off a little bit unnecessary. So that,
I appreciated it. I didn't dislike it. I thought the display of culture from Khalid and his Zatara was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it personally.
I mean, I'm not against it. I just felt like for the context we're in, it's like they could have used something else. Like, it just seemed a little, I wish there was more of a better function than just like, oh, just to show my religion. Like, that's what it came off as versus like, he's actually using this. And then, maybe there's some like effect that comes out of it other than just, oh, I'm just showing you that I'm a godly man, whatever. So to me, it seemed kind of unnecessary.
I see. Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, like as a viewer, like seeing it, I didn't mind it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say about that. And then, of course, I guess the next topic, unless you have anything else to say about the whole students.
I'm pretty much good. I mean, like, even though we're criticizing it a good amount, I feel like I still enjoyed this episode. It's just some things I wish they did better. That's all.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's like, it's not that the episode is bad at all. It's an enjoyable episode, especially hearing the backstory of Naboo and seeing the consequences of Clarion. But there's just so many things where you're just thinking to yourself, like, yeah, I don't know why they're going, like, to me, and I know they're probably going to give us more Zatanna with her father next episode. I would want more of Zatanna. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have preferred more, like, it would have been actually cooler if we got like a flashback of how Zatanna met them. And then they told their story through me and Zatanna. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. I just feel like, again, she just seems like a plot device again. And this like, so far in this arc, she's become a plot device for all this stuff. So,
do you want to move on to comments or?
Yeah, I guess we can.
Just it transitions well because Eric Evans said, "Trust me, the emotional arc for Z is coming. I'm sure we're gonna see Zatara soon. I mean, we sort of have now. I'm guessing one of her students will become the new Dr. Fate, maybe Khalid.
That would be interesting.
That would be, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, if there was a foreshadow for that, it was like, oh, doctor, and then he was like, oh yeah, I'm not a doctor quite yet. I'm like, oh, God.
That's very interesting when you think about it. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, I think I only thought about it that way because of your comment, Eric. So, funny thing. But I don't know, maybe that'll happen. It'll be certainly interesting because they're definitely hinting at it, like saying how Zatara has an old body and saying, oh, maybe these students are worthy, and then Khalid's whole thing about being a doctor and also other stuff. I don't know.
That's true.
Potentially, we'll see. But so far, we haven't really seen a Zatara and Zatanna connection, at least like emotional connection or interaction. So I guess we'll just have to wait for that. I'm hoping you're right, Eric. I am hoping you're right.
I agree. I love this show. Seeing Vandal Savage history is very interesting. I agree. The Vandal stuff is very interesting. We didn't definitely get this in this episode, but I don't mind that just because it did spend more time on the other characters as well as getting Naboo's history, and I feel like Naboo connects with Vandal. So but I agree with your comment.
And also, A Tribe Called Quest also mentioned how he said, you noticed, I don't know, they said you noticed that Vandal's comments on Naboo's old body and that old body belonged to Zatanna's dad. They're definitely setting something up. So yeah, a lot of people are definitely thinking that the helmet is gonna come off. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's obvious, or that's for sure gonna happen.
Yeah,
maybe not necessarily obvious that it's gonna come off, but like they're hinting at it quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that, and I guess if what's his face, if Khalid is the next Dr. Fate, that would be interesting. But who knows? Maybe Zatanna might be the next. That'd be. No, I don't know how I feel about that, because
definitely not.
On one hand, I don't know how I wouldn't like that in some ways.
That would not happen, because like the whole reason Zatara is Dr. Fate is because of Zatanna, because she put it on and Naboo refused to let her go. So it would be like, I don't know, it'd be kind of like ridiculous for her to put on the helmet and then be possessed by Naboo after all of that, it just wouldn't make sense to me at all. If they did that, I would hate it. Okay.
Yeah, this comment says Zatanna couldn't do anything against them by herself. those two together would have killed her. Yeah, maybe. Well, by two, do you mean Clarion and the other Witch Lord?
Yeah, so this is in reference to me talking about how I didn't like how incompetent Zatanna was in the last episode, where you know she did her levitating spell and then Itativa, and then all of a sudden she just bumped into Clarion and then kind of passed out because of that. So the comment is essentially just saying like, oh, Zatanna couldn't have done anything because she would have died if she did. And you know, I get where you're coming from. I can see that, but at the same time, like, she didn't need to do anything. She just needed to be competent enough to avoid getting hit. But she still got hit and then knocked out by simply bumping into Clarion. And that was my issue. Not the fact that Zatanna wasn't like all powerful and would stop them. It was just the fact that she made such a dumb move that I feel like was kind of out of character, or at the same time like it wasn't even like this big blast that knocked her out. It was the fact that she bumped into Clarion that knocked her out, and that's why I didn't like it. And then there was another comment that was sort of related to this. Wally West said, in this episode, Zatanna is our viewpoint character, and we will get a satisfying resolution of her arc with her father, but that's kind of it. Even in season 1, she was a supporting character with one single major arc, losing her father to the Helmet of Fate. But they were more interested in exploring more of DC's magical side, Earth 16's past, and Vandal Savage, while simultaneously tying loose ends for Zatanna's arc with her father. This is understandable and better than the alternative scenario. We got to spend more time with Zatanna while the plot moves forward and our main antagonist gains more dimensions. It would have been worse had they chosen to sideline an actual lead for Vandal's sake, such as Calder. Yeah, I can agree with your last statement, where like if they sideline like a major character like Nightwing or Calder, definitely that would have been worse. But at the same time, I feel like the fans would like to see more of Zatanna. Like, just because somebody was like a side character in the beginning, earlier seasons, doesn't mean they can't be a great character later on, you know? Like, I feel like great shows can make side characters more impactful in a lot of ways. And I would consider Young Justice a great show, so I would hope that, you know, they can pull that off if they really wanted to. Yeah. But I definitely get where you're coming from, and I totally understand that idea. I just think they could go beyond that.
Yeah, to me, it's like, keep in mind in the, you know, the intro itself, it shows Zatanna. So when I see Zatanna, I'm expecting to see more of Zatanna. I'm not just seeing her.
Rocket? I'm just kidding.
Even Rocket, that's another thing. And those two characters, because they came at the end of season 1, I want to see more of them. It's more reason why I want to see more of them. It's like the fact that we're side characters is why we want to see them more. It's not the other way around for us, at least. But to go back to the fighting thing, keep in mind, Entrigon, like, he did more, and maybe Entrigon is a little bit stronger than Zatanna, but I would at least if Entry couldn't get involved, I would at least want to see Zatanna try to get involved, and then things not working out, so then, you know, she moves on to something else, you know. It's just, yeah. But I think, is there any more comments?
Last comment, King Ataru. I just wanted to say every character so far had been showcased in the personal arc, have had a few flashbacks to build more on their character and build emotional depth that will pay off at the end. And I really want to see young Zatanna be trained by her father, like 9 or 10 years old type of age, because we need more Zatara flashbacks, father-daughter dynamic. And yeah, this comment essentially, your comment highlights, you know, what we want from each character, essentially. So we agree with you, man. Like, there's a lot that I feel they could do to help flesh out the characters more. And yeah, I mean, right now, you know, I guess the focus is on Vandal, but at the same time, when we don't really see anything happening with Vandal in present day other than him talking to a few people, like, to me, it makes it a bit harder to get involved in that story. While he's not really doing much in the present. So to me, it would make the pacing would make more sense if it were like flashbacks and whatnot of, you know, these characters that we're seeing. But I do get like Wally West's point where, you know, Vandal is a villain that has been around for a long time, and it's about time that we get more of him. So I guess it's give and take, right? We can't get it all, unfortunately, just because of time.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where, you know, it's like a chess board where it's like you have certain key players, and it's like because of certain key players that they put on there, and yeah, because of screen time, you know, they can't always do all these moves, so they have to sacrifice a lot of things. I'm just hoping that if not this season, maybe another season, maybe they'll dedicate episode 2 to Zatanna and we get even more about her. Because again, for it to be an arc evolving her, it's a little bit of a disappointment that we don't get much about her. And it's just kind of her being sort of a vehicle for, like, again, she's essentially a plot device. So
she's just there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're still hoping. We're still hoping. There's how many more episodes in this arc?
It
goes up to episode 13, right? So there's
is it?
I believe so, right? Was it 13 or 12?
I thought every arc was 4 episodes, so it would be 12. But if they're doing 2 more episodes, who knows? Maybe we do get more. I don't mind if it has an extra episode. That could solve a lot of problems. But so far, every arc has been 4 episodes. So
yeah, but it would be weird if they like just randomly ended the arc and then episode 13 is their mid.
Hey man, that could be a cliffhanger. That could be a cliffhanger of everything that's gone on so far. I actually don't mind that because then it'll make us more hype for like, oh dang.
Yeah, I definitely think they cannot end it next episode. They have not established enough for them to end this arc next episode at all. So I definitely think this is gonna keep going. So
Okay.
there's definitely a lot of chances for the show to essentially fulfill what we want. Again, this is just us, you know, this is us and our opinions. If
Yeah.
you guys are loving it, let us know, because we definitely appreciate your comments. Let us know your thoughts about the entire episode or just everything that's happened so far. But for us personally, these are just simply things that we want to see and hope that they do.
Yeah.
And it's not like, I guess if they don't do it, we're going to be disappointed, obviously, but like I'm still hoping that they will just give us more of Zatanna and like all the other characters as well.
Yeah. And yeah, also let us know if you think that the next episode will be the final episode of the arc, or they're gonna go up to episode 13. Because to me, it's a little bit weird. I mean, it would make a little more sense given to how many characters we have playing that it would go up to episode 13, but I feel like it's gonna end in episode 12 because every episode's done 4 arcs, and then episode 13 is gonna be an episode where they kind of try to tie in like what happened to Superboy, and we get like a ending, a cliffhanger ending where we see Superboy with the Legions. That's just my predictions, but I could be wrong.
I think you're wrong this time, Chuku. Last time we talked about this, I was dead wrong. I think you're dead wrong this time, but we're about to find out.
Yeah, we're about to.
All right, let us know your thoughts again in the comments, and subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video. We will also be talking about Spider-Man soon, so catch that video soon. Later.
Peace.